Smash that subscribe button, hit like if you're brave enough, and drop a comment because once this story starts, there's no turning back. The making of a king. The alarm screamed through Ironwood State Prison at 5:42 a.m., a sound so sharp it felt like it cut through bone. Guards came running towards cell block D, boots pounding concrete, radios crackling with panic. An inmate lay sprawled in the narrow corridor between the showers and the laundry room, blood pooling beneath his head, his eyes still open as if he'd been surprised by death itself. His name was Marcus Hale, 32 years old, serving 12 years for armed robbery, and, according to prison intelligence, one of the fastest rising shot callers inside Ironwood. The weapon was never found. No witnesses stepped forward. The cameras covering that stretch of hallway had gone dark for exactly 7 minutes. Inside a maximum security prison, 7 minutes was an eternity. By sunrise, the yard was locked down. Cells were searched. Phones were confiscated. Gang intelligence units were pulled in from the state capital. Because Marcus Hale wasn't just another inmate, he was a symbol. And symbols don't die without consequences. Ironwood had a system. Every prison did. Inmates grouped themselves by race, geography, or shared crimes. On the surface, it looked chaotic, but underneath, it was a rigid hierarchy enforced by fear, loyalty, and violence. And at the top of each group sat a leader, someone who never got his hands dirty, someone who understood power better than the guards did. Marcus Hale had been on his way there. Detective Laura Kessler arrived just after 8 a.m., her badge drawing stares as she crossed the yard under escort. She'd spent 15 years chasing organized crime, but prisons were different. Inside these walls, truth moved quietly, lies moved fast, and leadership was earned through blood. She studied the body photos laid out on a metal table in the briefing room. Marcus's face was calm, almost peaceful. No defensive wounds. One precise blow to the back of the skull. This wasn't random, she said. Someone wanted him gone. Captain Ross, the prison's head of security, nodded grimly. Marcus was recruiting, building alliances across cell blocks. That scares people. What kind of people? Kessler asked. Ross hesitated. The ones already in charge. To understand how Marcus rose so fast, Kessler had to go back to his first day inside. 3 years earlier, Marcus Hale walked into Ironwood with nothing but a thin file and a reputation that meant nothing behind bars. He wasn't the biggest, he wasn't the loudest, and he didn't pick fights. That alone made him dangerous. Most new inmates made the same mistake. They tried to prove themselves too quickly. Marcus did the opposite. He watched, he listened, he learned names, routines, weaknesses. He learned who controlled the phones, who controlled the food trays, who controlled protection on the yard. Power in prison wasn't about strength. It was about leverage. Marcus started small. He helped men file appeals. He shared legal tips he'd learned in county jail. He broke up disputes quietly before they turned into stabbings that brought lockdowns and retaliation. And when he spoke, people listened because he never wasted words. Within 6 months, older inmates started sending people to him to talk things out. Within a year, he was deciding who got access to contraband and who didn't. Guards noticed fewer fights in his orbit. What they didn't notice was a loyalty forming around him. Leadership didn't announce itself. It grew in the shadows. Back in the present, Kessler interviewed inmates one by one. Most stared at the table. Some smiled too easily. Everyone claimed ignorance. Until she sat across from Calvin Books Turner. Books was serving life. Gray-bearded, soft-spoken, a man who'd survived 4 decades inside without a single disciplinary write-up. And everyone knew why. Marcus was smart, Books said quietly, but he forgot the first rule. Which is? Kessler asked, "You don't climb too fast unless you're ready to fall." Books leaned back, eyes distant. Leadership in here isn't taken. It's allowed. Someone let Marcus rise. And when he stopped being useful, they took him out. Who? Kessler pressed. Books smiled faintly. That's the wrong question. As the day dragged on, tension thickened inside Ironwood. Gangs blamed each other. Rumors spread of retaliation. Guards intercepted notes warning of a war if justice wasn't served. The warden demanded answers. Politicians demanded silence. And somewhere inside the prison, someone was watching to see how the system would respond. Late that night, Kessler reviewed surveillance logs again. 7 minutes of missing footage, too clean to be an accident. She followed the trail backward to a maintenance request filed weeks earlier, citing intermittent camera failure in cell block D. The request had been approved, signed off by a civilian contractor, a contractor who'd been released from prison 8 months earlier. Her phone buzzed, a message from prison intelligence. They found something. Kessler hurried to the evidence room, where a sealed envelope lay on the table. Inside was a folded piece of paper, smuggled out of Marcus Hale's cell during a late-night sweep. 3 words were written in careful block letters. "I know who runs this." Behind the paper was a second item, a crude diagram of Ironwood State Prison. Certain cells were circled, certain names written in the margins, and at the center of it all was one inmate Kessler hadn't expected to see. A man officially classified as low influence. A man everyone thought was invisible. As Kessler stared at the page, she realized Marcus Hale hadn't just been climbing the ladder, he'd been mapping the throne. And someone had killed him to make sure he never reached it. The invisible throne. By morning, Ironwood felt different. The silence wasn't calm, it was waiting. Detective Laura Kessler stood at the observation window overlooking cell block D as inmates were released for a tightly supervised breakfast. Eyes tracked every movement. Men who usually walked alone now clustered together. Whispers passed hand to hand faster than contraband. Marcus Hale was dead, and power hated a vacuum. The diagram found in Marcus's cell had already been photocopied and locked into evidence, but its impact was rippling through the prison. The circled name at the center of it all belonged to an inmate few guards paid attention to, Elias Crow, 4 to 6 years old, serving 25 years for racketeering and conspiracy. No violent infractions inside, no gang affiliation on paper, assigned to laundry detail. Quiet, polite, forgettable, too forgettable. Kessler flipped through Crow's file again. Outside, he'd been a financial operator, someone who moved money, not guns. Inside, he'd somehow avoided trouble for nearly a decade. That alone was suspicious. You don't survive this long by being weak, Captain Ross muttered beside her. You survive by being useful. Kessler nodded. Or untouchable. They brought Elias Crow in for questioning that afternoon. He sat calmly in the interview room, hands folded, eyes steady. He looked more like an accountant than a criminal kingmaker. "I heard about Marcus," Crow said softly before Kessler could speak. "Tragic." "You knew him?" she asked. Crow smiled faintly. "Everyone knew him. He was ambitious. And you weren't." Kessler pressed. Crow's eyes flickered just for a second. Ambition is dangerous in prison. It draws attention. "Funny," she said, "because Marcus seemed to think you were the one pulling strings." Crow leaned back. Marcus thought a lot of things. The interview went nowhere. Crow denied involvement, denied leadership, denied even understanding how gangs truly operated. No threats, no slips, just calm deflection. Too calm. That night, the first retaliation hit. An inmate affiliated with Marcus's crew was found in the yard, stabbed twice in the abdomen with a sharpened piece of metal. He survived, but barely. The message was clear. The old order wasn't done speaking. By the next day, 2 more inmates were transferred to solitary for their own protection. One refused food. The other asked to speak to Kessler. His name was Devon Pike, 24, first offense, eyes wide with fear. "They're lying to you," Pike whispered through the glass, "about how leadership works in here." "Then tell me the truth," Kessler said. Pike swallowed hard. "Leaders don't give orders. They give permissions. Who's allowed to sell? Who's allowed to fight? Who's allowed to live?" "And Elias Crow?" she asked. Pike nodded quickly. "He never tells anyone what to do. He just listens. And somehow, things happen." Pike leaned closer. Marcus figured it out. He figured out Crow controlled the supply lines, phones, drugs, even favors with certain guards. Marcus wasn't trying to replace him. He was trying to expose him. Kessler felt a chill. Expose him to who? To everyone, Pike said. That's why he died. Before Kessler could ask another question, the door burst open. Guards rushed in, dragging Pike out, radio blaring. Lockdown was announced prison-wide. An hour later, Kessler was called back to the medical wing. Devin Pike was dead. Official cause, suicide. But the bruises around his neck told a different story. The warden demanded the investigation be wrapped up. Politicians were calling. The press had caught wind of a possible gang war inside Ironwood. Kessler felt the walls closing in. Not just the prisons, but the invisible ones built by bureaucracy and fear. Then her phone rang. Unknown number. Detective Kessler, a voice said calmly. You're asking the wrong questions. Who is this? She demanded. A friend, the voice replied. Marcus Hale wasn't becoming a leader. He was becoming a problem. The line went dead. Kessler stared at her phone, pulse racing. That call hadn't come through the prison switchboard. Someone had access. Someone with reach. She requested Crow's transfer to protective custody. The request was denied. Too risky, she was told. Too disruptive. That evening, Ironwood erupted. A coordinated fight broke out across 3 cell blocks simultaneously, something that required planning, communication, and authority. Guards struggled to regain control. Tear gas filled the air. Sirens wailed. In the chaos, a fire started in the laundry room. Elias Crow's assigned post. By the time smoke cleared, Crow was gone. Not escaped. Not dead. Gone. His cell was empty. His personal items neatly arranged. No signs of struggle. Just a single piece of paper left on his bunk. It read, "Leaders don't sit on thrones. They build systems." As Ironwood locked down for the 3rd time in 2 days, Kessler realized the truth was far worse than she'd imagined. Marcus Hale hadn't been killed for trying to take power. He'd been killed for trying to reveal how power truly worked. And now, the man who mastered that system had vanished, just as the prison descended into controlled chaos. Because Elias Crow wasn't running from the throne. He was proving he never needed to sit on it at all. The system never sleeps. Ironwood State Prison reopened in pieces. Cell blocks unlocked one at a time. Yard access restricted to minutes. Guards rotated constantly, watching each other as much as the inmates. The riots were officially labeled contained disturbances, but everyone inside knew the truth. Order hadn't been restored. It had been reassigned. Detective Laura Kessler stood in the warden's office, staring at the empty chair across from her, the one Elias Crow should have been sitting in. His disappearance had been ruled an internal misclassification error. No escape alert. No manhunt. Just paperwork quietly corrected. Crow had vanished without breaking a rule. "He's still inside," Kessler said flatly. The warden exhaled. "You have no proof." "I have patterns," she replied, "and patterns don't disappear." Over the next week, Kessler watched Ironwood carefully. Violence dropped. Contraband flowed more smoothly than ever. Disputes ended before they escalated. The same men who'd been circling for power suddenly fell in line, without a visible leader to answer to. That was when Kessler understood the final lesson Marcus Hale had died trying to expose. Prison gangs didn't need kings. They needed architects. Kessler dug deeper into Crow's past. Outside the walls, he'd never led crews directly. He created structures, shell companies, layered transactions, plausible deniability. When arrests came, others took the fall. Crow never touched the crime. Inside Ironwood, he'd done the same thing. Every supply chain passed through someone who owed him. Every favor moved through 2 intermediaries. Every act of violence required quiet approval from someone who never gave orders. Crow had turned the prison itself into a machine, and himself into a missing part no one could point to. Then came the break. A guard named Thomas Reeve requested a private meeting. Reeve was shaking when he sat down. "I shouldn't be here," he said. But Marcus didn't deserve what happened. Kessler leaned forward. "Tell me." Reeve swallowed. "Crow helped me. Fixed debt I had outside. Protected my brother from people I owed. All he ever asked for were small things, camera blind spots, schedule changes, access logs." "And Marcus?" Kessler asked. Reeve closed his eyes. Marcus figured out Crow was using guards, not gangs. He said he was going to expose it, to the feds, to everyone. Crow didn't threaten him, didn't warn him. What did he do? He let the system handle it. Marcus Hale's death wasn't ordered. It was permitted. That night, Kessler filed for a federal takeover of the investigation. Before it could be approved, her access badge stopped working. Her calls went unanswered. She was informed, politely, that her role at Ironwood was complete. As she packed her files, a folded note slipped from one of the folders. She didn't recognize the handwriting. Truth is loud. Control is quiet. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. You were close, the voice said calmly. Closer than Marcus. Kessler stepped into the empty hallway. You let him die. No, the voice replied. He chose to step into the light. Where are you? She demanded. A pause. Where I've always been, Elias Crow said. Exactly where I need to be. The line went dead. 3 months later, Ironwood reported record low violence. The warden was praised. Funding increased. The case of Marcus Hale officially closed, unsolved. But Kessler kept watching. Across the state, inmates connected to Ironwood began rising quietly inside other prisons. The same patterns, the same calm, the same invisible permissions. Crow had never escaped. He had expanded. The final report on Ironwood concluded that prison gangs were leaderless networks driven by inmate culture. No names were mentioned. No systems acknowledged. Marcus Hale's diagram was sealed, then lost. But Kessler remembered the center of it. Leadership in prison wasn't about power you could see. It was about power that never had to show itself. And somewhere behind concrete walls and locked doors, the system kept working, silent, efficient, unstoppable. They thought the most dangerous men were the ones already locked inside. They were wrong. The most dangerous leaders were the ones no one believed existed. And if this story kept your heart racing, you already know, what's coming next will be even darker.